Alright, so there's nothing I love more than a sick transition. Those little visual nuggets in a video that help to hold the attention of the audience just a little bit longer can make your videos that much better. I was watching Cole Bennett's new music video with Jack Harlow and Dave, and he used 3 of those little transition techniques that I figured I had to break down and show you how to make. This is the first one, look at this. Oh, puts up the what? Ooh, pause. Run it back. That was sick. Let's look at that slowly. All right, so Dave puts up his wrist, the frame locks onto his watch, and then the whole thing rotates while a few other little circular compositions splash into frame, and then it ends on Jack. Like, it's pretty sick, very eye-catching, but very simple to make. And I'm gonna show you how to do it. Okay, so we gotta go out and shoot.
All right, so 2023 was a hell of a year. I realized my true passion was dispensing knowledge, learning how to do things, and then teaching people how to do those exact same things. So we're gonna do a lot more of that this year, starting with this video. We can call it a couple of sick transitions that I saw and wanted to teach you how to do. Perfect, let's get into it.
All right, so you're gonna need a starting clip and an ending clip of something circular moving in the frame.
I spent a few hours trying to shoot some bikers and some motorcyclists going past. And I finally settled on these 2 clips, which are very important because they're the clips that start and end the transition.
All right, so now that we have the intro and the outro shot, we got to start hunting for circular compositions, stuff like this, all around your neighborhood and your city. A little bit of a side note here. You want to shoot the circular compositions like this thing squared off to the frame. Get a little bit more of a wider shot than you actually need. That way you have space to rotate and twist things when you're editing in post. All right, so we got the shots. Let's figure out how to edit this thing.
Don't ask why I'm in a different outfit or why it's nighttime outside. Listen, this video is taking a long time to make, okay? Let's edit. All right, so the first thing I'm gonna do is make a couple of quick adjustments in Lightroom just to make the photos a little bit more balanced, and then open all of them up as layers in Photoshop. I'm gonna create a new layer here and then paint in a red dot like this to represent where I want the center of each circle. And then I'm gonna adjust the scale of each individual frame to make sure that it matches the red dot as closely as possible. Now, Photoshop has a setting that allows you to export each layer at the same time by going to File, down to Export, and export layers to files. So I have all these photos sitting in the files that I want them to do here. The next step that I want to do is import them to Premiere. Now, rather than creating a sequence by myself, I want the dimension of the sequence that I create to perfectly match the sequence that I've made. So I'm just gonna drag and drop that red dot right into Premiere, and then I have a sequence that is the exact same size as all the photos that I just made in Photoshop right there. Now, remember that intro and outro clip that we made while we were on the streets? I'm gonna take that, drag them into my timeline as well, and then perfectly try and see if I can match the in and out point of the tire or whatever the circle thing that you're stabilizing. I'm gonna try and match them as perfectly, as closely as possible to that red dot. That way I can easily transition out and into those video sequences. So the next thing you're gonna do is drop all those circular photos that you exported into the timeline and make each of them roughly like around 4 frames long. Now I'm gonna duplicate all those photos, making these ones 1 frame long, and then put them over the photo that comes before them. I'm not gonna use a circular mask tool here and mask out right around our subject and then invert the mask. You don't have to do this multiple times. You can just copy this from the very first one that you did and then paste it onto each and every other 1 frame long photo. All right, stay with me. We're almost done. Nest what you've just made here and then keyframe in some rotations using the transform effect. Now, as a final bit of sauce, you want to turn shutter angle on. Make sure shutter angle is turned on so you have a little bit of motion blur when your stuff is moving across the screen. I like to set mine to 180 degrees, nest the whole thing, and then copy it, create a new timeline that is actually 4K and drop that into timeline. You want to then zoom out till you don't see any edges when you're rotating, and you should be good. It looks fantastic. Just sit back and enjoy the fruits of your labor. All right, and we're done. It's basically daylight again. That technique was by no means easy, but if you take it step by step by step, you could get it done. It could be simple. Now, before we move on to the next technique, you might be saying to yourself, Carl, where's the fun in this? Are we basically copying Cole Bennett from head to toe? And you know what I'll say to that?
I hate to break it to you, but literally all your favorite artists steal. Think of the greats. Banksy, for example, has this style heavily influenced by Bleth Barat. Beyonce for her visual album Lemonade from pipilotti wrist. The list goes on and on, including the reference for this video, Cole Bennett himself. A lot of the techniques that Cole Bennett uses in this video were popularized by the McLaughlin brothers from Ireland. Their work is insane, by the way. The truth is, in almost every single creative industry, everyone is doing similar stuff. Here's how you copy or steal the ideas without coming off as a jerk. Instead of implementing the ideas in a way that is predictable, in a way that people expect, you gotta switch it up. You gotta reimagine the idea and somehow reinvent the idea. Use the ideas that you're inspired by as a springboard for your own creativity. That way you can actually come up with something a little unique, you know? To sell something familiar, it needs to have a surprising twist. And for it to be surprising, it requires a dash of familiarity. You can create something entirely new by changing it by a slim 3%. All you got to do is actually switch it up. All right, so back to this transition we've been making. We've literally been copying them. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit and do the unexpected, shoot them from directly above. All right, so to give you a little bit of context here, this is the effect that I'm trying to recreate from the same music video. It's basically, as you can see, a frame match sequence of cars driving by in the same spot, and it's pretty sick. The name of the game here is to switch it up. To make mine different, like I said before, I'm gonna be shooting from above, but I'm also gonna reverse engineer the shot here. Instead of frame matching the cars in the exact same position, I'm gonna position match them as they drive across the frame. So the entire sequence is gonna be moving. I'm gonna choose this red car as my main guide for my subject. I'm gonna take the span of time that I wanna create the sequence for and then drop the opacity of the red car down. I'll put the entire 5-minute long clip of me that I shot looking down at the cars underneath, and then just tediously spend time finding a spot where another car coincides with my red car in position, frame by frame, again and again. Now this looks sick, but I think I can take it a step further. I got very lucky when this flock of birds flew directly across the frame, so I'm gonna add that in with a little layer mask. Looking for a couple of things to keep in frame here. I'm gonna keep the bicyclist in with another layer mask as well, because I'm sure it'll make a few people scratch their head. And finally, I'm gonna leave in these 2 lanes to the left of our frame matched car here, just to keep people guessing even more. I think it'll make the shot even sick. All right, let's look at the final result. That's sick. Definitely a bit tedious. It took me a few hours to finish this whole effect, but I think it's worth it, especially if you're trying to do something a little different. That's it. Stop watching. Go make a little video or something. I'll see you soon.